one and only Pinocchio.
When we think Disney, it's usually princesses and princes, gallant heroes, and maybe a very tame villain every now and again. But if we head back far enough, Disney is unrecognizable in the darkest way imaginable. And Pinocchio? It's the studio's greatest example. Number 1. He sacrifices himself. While Disney was definitely successful in making Pinocchio's passing in the film more G-rated than the older version, the key thing here is he still passes when sacrificing himself for his father. While topics like this are mentioned in today's Disney films, like Elsa and Anna's parents in Frozen, it's not explicitly shown like it was in the 1940 film, and doesn't happen to the main character. Luckily, he was saved by the Blue Fairy at the end, which probably really worked at covering Disney's tracks for including the previous disturbing scene. Number 2. All of the hanging puppets. Remember when Pinocchio finds Stromboli's wagon and there are puppets hanging everywhere? It may seem innocent enough, but take just a peek closer and you'll find that Stromboli's cart was actually just a puppet graveyard. He even put an axe through one of them in front of Pinocchio to emphasize his point. And the puppets hanging? We're thinking it could be a nod to the way Pinocchio passes in one of the original tales, if you get what we're saying. Number 3. His strings represent different things. Depending on the person and the situation, Pinocchio's puppet strings mean something different. To Jiminy, they mean guidance, but to everyone else, they were something dark. For Stromboli, the strings meant that he had total control over Pinocchio whenever he was near. When Pinocchio met the female puppets, the strings turned into a symbol of his singleness and availability. Ever heard of the phrase, "no strings attached"? Just take a listen to them singing. Poor Pinocchio just thought he'd suddenly become popular. Number 4. She isn't really a hero. We probably all idolized the Blue Fairy back when we were kids, but if you watch the movie today, you'd probably realize how unhero-like she really is. She's constantly scolding Pinocchio for situations that are out of his control, threatens to never help him again despite it being his very first day alive, and basically set him up for failure when giving him unattainable goals to achieve as a real boy. And the nose? It's like she expected him to fail. Number 5. Pinocchio indulges in not kid-friendly substances. We know what you're thinking. There's no way Disney actually has this in one of its films. Yes, it does. Not only is there drinking and smoking by children in the movie, but it's also so disturbing that there have been psychologists who developed theories on the entire movie being about addiction and recovery. Number 6. They are lured away from their families. Let's take a moment to talk about how Pleasure Island is a metaphor for children getting kidnapped.
Where do you suppose all the kids went to, Lampwick?
No, they're around here somewhere.
The coachman lures in children with food, games, and other things, and promises a life with no rules. Sounds like every stranger danger lecture we've ever gotten. Not gonna lie, it almost reminds us of movies like Taken. Number 7. There are no consequences for evil characters. Usually villains get in trouble at the end of a Disney film, but all of the villains in Pinocchio end up free in the end. Not only that, there's no closure with Pleasure Island, leading us to believe that all those children remained trapped, and Stromboli will continue to strike. Number 8. Jiminy Cricket isn't a good conscience. Sorry to burst a bubble, but Jiminy isn't the greatest conscience or influence for Pinocchio to have. Not only did he threaten to abandon him and overall performed hypocritical actions, but listen to the noise he made when the Blue Fairy showed up.
As I live and breathe, a fairy.
We know. We were shocked too. Number 9. The moral of Pinocchio is pretty conflicting. While the movie promotes finding and staying on the path of good, at the same time it makes it seem like being good is impossible and even goes as far as not condemning bad behavior. So what is the real message, Disney? We're still waiting. 80 years later. Number 10. Pinocchio has dark roots. Before Pinocchio was ever in the clutches of Disney, the story behind the tale was one that was twisted, to put it lightly. In the original Italian version, Pinocchio is no more than a talking piece of wood that engages in adult activities that end up tricking Gepetto into bankruptcy and ending worse off than before his supposed new son came into his life. And in another version, Pinocchio is offed for his wrongdoings. Yikes! So with already dark roots, it's unsurprising that Disney wasn't able to fully make this a family-friendly adventure. Had you ever picked up on these hidden messages before? What is your new perception of Pinocchio like? You probably have a lot of questions for Disney, even if the film was made over 80 years ago. We wouldn't blame you. Let us know your thoughts in the comments section below. If you liked this video, make sure you give it a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button. See you next time.